Whew. So, welcome to another segment of Real Talk with Eugene. And I have the honor and the privilege and the blessing of having on with me this morning my brother, my friend, the Seafood Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson. Yes, Seafood Reverend Doctor.
Thanks, sir. Thank you. Happy to be here with you. To you as well.
Whew. So Raymont and I were speaking briefly a couple of days ago about Real Talk and where we are in terms of this new thought movement. And it is a movement. It's a movement. And thank you so much, man, for sending me that the video of Dr. Darnice. That was great. That was great. So let's, bring the people into our conversation here about what's on our hearts about this thing called new thought and where we are with this and where I am with it and what is mine. I've been talking, as you probably have heard in the past, about what's, for me, the second question is what's mine to do. The first question is who am I to be in this? Because that informs what is mine to do. But now it's to that point. I know who I am to be. Now what's mine to do? And let me get busy, right?
Right.
Yeah. So where are you in this thing called movement? Yeah. Oh, we're going to wait. Shake the folks up.
I guess where I am right now is, the old Negro spiritual wade in the water.
In the water.
God's going to trouble, meaning God is going to touch. God is going to make the waters move. And in that movement, there is healing.
Yeah.
So where I am right now is looking for the places where the water has seemed to become still, where we as a movement have become comfortable, these still waters, where we have become complacent with, quoting aphorisms and passage thoughts or things. And yeah, they are, but what do we do with that, right? How are we transforming our lives? But if we're going to create a world that works for all, then we for real have to get to the second part of that, treat and move our feet. And I'm not seeing enough of this happening.
Right.
The Golden Globes, I guess that's what the award was recently. Joaquin Phoenix made a comment where he said, to all of his colleagues in, the arts, and he said, saying our well wishes and our hearts are with you, Australia, that's not enough.
Yeah.
And so every time we have a mass shooting and we're in prayer, and every time, another Black person is murdered by a white police officer, you're in our prayers, and we're praying for you, and we're holding you in consciousness. All great and good. I'm with you. But where are the prayers when it comes to uplifting our political leadership? I'm not seeing any prayers about that. I'm not seeing any prayers about what we are doing to create a government system, a world system where political systems all over the planet have enlightened and woke individuals in leadership. Where are those prayers?
Right.
Like, why are we praying for the tragedies, but not praying for, okay, so once the fires die down and once the funerals have happened and the bodies are now cold and in the ground,
come on,
praying for to now come in so that this stuff no longer happens.
Right.
So that's where I am right now, is how and what is mine to do with troubling the waters. So for real, we demonstrate that we are open at the top.
Right. For real. Yeah. And that's been one of my, I'm going to use the word, frustrations, with this, because and this is the word that I use to describe this teaching called the science of mind and spirit, is that it's pristine because it works. It's pure. It works across the board. And I know we've heard this before in, the big rooms or the rooms of AA or wherever, that it works when you work it. And like you, Raymont, it's like, I'm not seeing enough. Let me make it more personal. I'm not doing enough.
Mm-hmm.
No, so what? Okay, I know who am I to be in whatever it is. Now, let me be clear on what it is that's mine to do. And I'm with you, man. Stirring up the waters is what I'm here to do too.
Yeah.
You know, it's time to wake up. You know, we've heard that over the last year, right? Stay woke. Well, in order to stay woke, we got to wake up first, and then
Yes.
not only wake up, but then get busy.
Yeah.
You know, and so how do we get busy? Now, I know that in the teachings we hear that, well, we're not to worry about the how. The how to is not on us. Well, yeah, some of it is.
Right.
You know, well, yeah, how do I show up? What is,
Right.
what, yeah.
So here I am with that, is having several conversations with people who, you know, they want that elevator speech on, well, I don't know what to tell people. What is new thought, or what is science of mind? I need that elevator speech. And I said, well, pause for a second. Let's table that. And think about this idea when Holmes said it's a synthesis of science and philosophy, and, you know, it's a synthesis of that. So here we are, you get a recipe, and the recipe calls for X amount of flour and sugar and vanilla and whatever, and then you synthesize it and put it together and put it in the oven and you bake it. Our part is to bring the ingredients together and mix it. We don't have to worry about what the oven is doing with the how is the oven baking it. That's where we can separate and not be attached. But we have to put the ingredients together.
Right.
We got to get the beater and put it in there. We have to do the measuring of how much sugar and salt, et cetera, go into it. And I'm with you, feeling the frustration of, yeah, it's so much easier to go down the store and just buy a cake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but.
Yeah, but.
Important thing, that's never going to change the state of consciousness globally.
Yeah.
We're just recycling Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. We're recycling Emmett Fox. We're recycling Emma Curtis Hopkins. We're recycling Holmes, and we're not creating anything new from that recycled material.
Right. Years ago, you know, I've been in Science of Mind and Spirit for a long time, and I left it and came back many years ago and walked into Agape, which is where I licensed from. And one Sunday, I heard Reverend Michael say, you know, people are so used to quoting Holmes and quoting somebody else. And then he said, which I love this, right? Quote yourself.
Right.
Right? Because this is what I believe, Raymont, is that we are here. I can to mix up all of those ingredients and put it in the oven. You're right? It's not ours to know how the oven does what it does, but turn the damn thing on. Right. And then when it's time, take it out and then serve it.
Right.
So let's serve this, man. As you and I spoke about a few days ago, you and I are both tired. I was speaking with someone else today also about it's getting out of having this philosophy being the best kept secret. Woman I was speaking to this morning about that, she said she saw that on around a license plate frame back in, maybe 25 years ago. Science of Mind is the best kept secret. Let's get busy.
It's an advertisement now. It's like,
woo!
We're the best kept secret.
Right? Let's not tell anybody, please.
Right.
Please.
Yeah,
man.
And I think that consciousness keeps us stuck in metaphysical masturbation.
Yeah.
Like it's all about, how do I feel good in my own consciousness, rather than like a couple months ago, I spoke to the congregation about this idea of, let's stop talking about feeling good and start talking about doing good.
Right.
The feeling good will come from the doing good.
Right.
A lot of people can feel good without doing anything. That's why drugs are a big thing for a lot of people, because they want to feel good, but it's not changing the behavior.
Right.
Change the behavior, and then the feeling will come with it.
Right.
And that part of, put it in the oven, bring it out, decorate it, and serve it, we're not there yet.
Right.
On a certain level, I'm not there where I want to be yet.
Right. And I think that's why we are here now. Because we can feel that that tug is like, okay, now you have to do something, not just say something.
Yeah.
You know, I love what you said earlier, right? As Dr. Holmes said, pray and move, the movement. So where Centers for Spiritual Living is concerned, as a movement, I know that there are individuals out there doing what they're doing, and they're doing some great, great work. And I get that. And I'm grateful for that. And I commend that. And as a movement, there's more for us to do. We have to stop being that secret. We have to stop being quiet about it. Screw that, bump that.
I mean, more people know about the secret than they know about us.
Right?
I'm like, wait a minute.
Wow.
Like, what's up with that?
What's up?
It's called The Secret, and more people know about it. And we've been around never mind. Anyhow, yeah.
Yeah, right? So here we are, man. Basically, for me right now, putting out this clarion call, this call to action. Yeah, I know who I am to be in this. Now, what is mine to do? Let me get off my ass and do it.
Right.
Right. Get involved, because I have to admit that I shied away from getting involved with the social stuff that's
right.
going on.
Right.
But there's this voice. In fact, it's more than a voice now. There's this pounding going, dude, you got to show up. Mm-hmm. You have a voice. You need to show up. Mm-hmm. Should not be, I'm going to use this too, and not be scared of what others might think about, well, this is what Eugene's doing.
That is going to come. That is going to come. I mean, not to, the superhero note in me, not to quote this, but Uncle Ben told Peter Parker, with great power comes great responsibility. And, we can look at Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. We can look at Gandhi. We can look at Mother Teresa. Like, we can look at all these people and say that as long as you're here and you're speaking what you're speaking, you're good. Nobody cares. The moment you cross this one line, you are now opening yourself up to all the, what do they call them? Basement, the people who sit in their mom's basement and type, and they get all the hate stuff they got to say on Instagram and Twitter, and, an armchair bandit. Like, I don't like when Eugene said, and
right.
So once we cross that line, we're now open to all this criticism, but it's also criticism from the people in our own movement.
Right.
To tell us you're misusing this philosophy, but you're not supposed to be concerned. Like you said, you're not supposed to be concerned with the how and the who and just focus on you. Yeah, I hear you. But
a number of years ago, I was at a Christmas party, and there was a son of mine, the spirit minister there. And he said, we as religious scientists, which I've heard all these years, but for some reason, Raymont, on that particular evening, there was, it pushed a button where I'm like, whoa, because it didn't sound right to me. As I'm a religious scientist. And I went home a little disturbed about that, thought like, what the hell is this in me? And then what came to me is like, oh no, I'm not a religious scientist, because that puts me in this box. I am a spiritual being. Religious science is a tool that I use. I am a spiritual being. Christianity is a tool that I use, or whatever it is, but I am not in that box. Religious science is a beautiful, beautiful philosophy, but that's not who I am. That's not what I am. But it's a great tool that can help transform the planet when I show up to do it. Woo-wee. And
yes, I'm with you. So check this out. So, preparing for this Sunday's message, right? And I know I'm knocking the waters here, but so they have the Emmett Fox quote in there where it says, what you think upon grows. Whatever you allow to occupy your mind will magnify in your life. Whether the subject of your thought be good or bad, the law works and the condition grows. Any subject you keep out of your mind tends to diminish in your life because you don't use atrophies. Now, he goes on, right? But that one piece, any subject you keep out of your mind tends to diminish in your life because what you do not use atrophies. And for me, what came up was, so if I stop thinking racism, is it going to atrophy?
Mm.
And if so, then why haven't, for the past 100 years of this movement, haven't we collectively made it atrophy collectively as a consciousness? Because if we're saying by ignoring and keeping those thoughts out of our minds, well, then cancer shouldn't be showing up. Sexism shouldn't be showing up. Like, I don't think about men whistling at me because I'm wearing booty shorts or you know, because of what, like, that's not in my mind, but guaranteed there are women in my life who experience that.
Right.
So yes, it is not in my mind.
Right.
And it has atrophied or whatever in my life experience. But if I don't act as if it is still in the experience of some others, then once again, I feel like I'm in metaphysical masturbation mode, where it's not happening to me, it's not in my experience, so we're all good. Amen, and so it is.
No, it's not all good because the person right down the street is experiencing that.
Yep.
You know, or somebody in my family.
Yep.
Yeah, but oh no, but it's all good.
Right.
No, dude, your arm is broken. It's not all good.
Right.
What do we do? You know? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's even that what you just said. Yes, I know that there is this thing called infinite spirit that is ever doing what it needs to do in this body to reconstruct and heal. So when the bone is broken, if I do absolutely nothing, it's going to heal, but it's going to heal wrong. It's going to heal broken. It's going to misheal.
Right.
What I do is I go to the physician who knows how to reset it so that when the healing process happens, the arm is back to being usable.
Right.
That's what I feel like my call is right now. I start looking around me and find the broken bones in political systems, in educational systems, in social systems, in schools and churches. And I, as a metaphysician, use these tools that you mentioned, use the tools to help set the bone, help set the mind, to help set the emotions so that spirit moves in and does what it's always doing, restoring and rejuvenating and reinvigorating.
Right. Yeah. I was trying to remember something that you said. I did when I was out in at the Reverend Bryan Center at a workshop that I did, and you said, God, what was it that you said? It was so very cool. Oh gosh, about being a certain way. Oh man, I wish I could remember that, and I can't. So
you remember what it was in reference to? Oh, never mind.
But it's having to do with disturbing the water. I was listening to something a few days ago about when we find ourselves in these times where the water is disturbed and we're going down the path and we find out that it is spirit that has disturbed it. Right? And for me, it's like, oh yeah, let me wake up, to serve and to do what I'm here to do. There's a part of the statement of purpose that I've had since 2003. But a part of that, first part of it is I am here to inspire people to remember who they are. Right? And that sometimes is not always, it doesn't always feel good.
Right.
And it's not supposed to feel good all of the time. Love is not always rainbows and puppy dogs.
Unicorns.
Right. Yeah. No, love stands bold and no matter what. And it may not feel good. Let me love myself to tell you what I feel about that.
Yeah.
Let me love myself enough to say, no, that doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah. Let me love myself to walk away from the situation.
Amen. Yeah. How many of the founders of any of the New Thought movements came to become the founders of, whether it's Unity or whatever, from a life that was all is well?
Right?
How many of them came from a place of, you know, there's this angst, there's tuberculosis, or there's something calling me to step into, to search for some higher level of truth, because this thing called illness, dis-ease, doesn't feel right.
Right.
How many of them were looking? So we're so busy trying to avoid, we're so busy trying to avoid the pain and avoid the moving waters that we're missing the point that sometimes the healing is right there in.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. The obstacle is the way.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Sheesh. Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Real, man. Keep it real. Oh, man, I'm loving this, Ray.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. You know, one of the things that I didn't know I was going to talk about this, but I am. So as I began to ponder you and I doing this real talk thing, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer it. I'm going to put this out on the practitioners listserv, asking practitioners, hey, come on with me on Real Talk, and let's talk about this. What are you here to do?
Right.
Yeah, you know, because this movement, as you said, man, you and I both, and I'm sure it's not just us two, there's not enough movement within the movement.
Yeah.
You know, well, you can't really talk about political stuff because we're a religious organization, and that's an excuse.
Yeah, and it's not true. There are certain things regarding politics we are very strongly encouraged to stay away from.
Right.
Promoting a certain candidate, et cetera, from the Pope, yeah, that's a no. But we can certainly talk about political things as spiritual beings. Oh, yeah, we should be.
Right. And not from a place of, how can I say this? I was going to say not from a place of being pissed off, because
Right.
it's okay to be pissed off.
Yes, it is.
Not from a place of putting folks down.
Right, right,
From a place of pissosity, let's lift folks up.
right, right.
And I'm pissed off because this doesn't work, and I'm tired of seeing it.
Yes.
Yeah. So what can we do to rise, to lift it, to mend that broken bone?
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
And I feel that I always tell people that everything we talk about in spirit, we should be able to find in the world of effects, per se. Meaning, if I can, as above, so below, as the macrocosm, the microcosm. So when we say, lost my train of thought. Anyhow, my point being that if we're going to really do this work, then it's time to start challenging our assumptions about and challenging the ideas about. So one of the things you posted on the listserv about nothingness. So
right.
if we don't have the conversation and engage in, then what I'm doing is taking these hand-me-down phrases and quotes, like Beckwith said. Stop quoting Holmes and Fillmore, et cetera, et cetera. Start quoting you.
Right.
Because even in our We Believe, it says, we believe in the direct revelation of truth. I am one who has a close contact with.
Right.
So Holmes and Christ and you aren't the only ones that have a direct line of revelation.
That's right.
But if we don't engage in challenging conversations where we say, so Eugene, when we say thoughts are things, what does that mean to you? You share, and then I share, and we say, I never thought of it that way. So when you say, well, what if there's nothingness, how can there be nothingness if God is something and is everything?
Right.
So if I'm sending it back to nothing, where's it going?
Right.
So it's like, oh, I like that. That made me start thinking, wait a minute, when I use it, what am I? Okay, so I don't quite use it that way, and this is how I use it. Does that work, or does that? So it makes us start to really think about, what do we believe?
Right.
Because even if that little box you said, well, I am a religious scientist, do you really believe that? Or do you believe you are an artist who has the use of all these tools, not just I am this kind of, or I'm this kind of, but I am a spiritual being who, if I'm open at the top, I have access to every tool possible.
Yes.
creation to do what I'm here to do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And get clear on what it is, and whatever it is that I am here to do. And that will change. It should change every day or every week or whatever, because life is always doing this.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much that's going through my head right now. You know, it's and I loved that how that listserv thing went, because that's exactly what was happening is people were engaging. It wasn't a debate. It was, and I love what Ray said too. It was great. Like, wow, yeah, let's talk about this.
Right.
You know, and this is what I had in mind this morning. I was talking with somebody on the phone this morning about how, you know, Holmes and the Fillmores and all those, they talked amongst each other about this stuff. You know, it wasn't about a debate. It was about an engagement. It was about a movement.
Yep.
And I want to go back to what you said, that all of those people started they became founders of places, you know, from a place of, you know, pain and being, you know, sick or whatever it was, you know. I'm going to
simply dissatisfied.
Right. And that's when we get so much more focused, when things are going crazy. Because the mind goes, okay, we need to change this. Yeah, let me use whatever I can to change this. Yeah, and I love, and I say this a lot of the times whenever I go out and speak, is that I love that we live in these times right now, especially for those of us who have answered that call, you know, to being spiritual leaders, because there's stuff going on. And answering the call means, okay, I need to show up and speak out on whatever it is. And not be afraid, man, of being, because, you know, people are going to say whatever they're going to say regardless.
Yep. They're saying it now.
They're saying it now, right? So why not? You know, I have this saying, what people don't know about me, they make up. And they'll keep doing that, you know, and the more that we show up, the more that they'll talk. Those armchair bandits, as you said, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, oh well. Which means that we must be doing something right.
Exactly. That's the thing. Because if we weren't, they would absolutely have nothing to say.
Right.
Exactly. Like, I do my best to keep myself in a state of divine discontent.
Ooh.
Keeps me from being complacent or apathetic or comfortable. I want to always be in a state of, there's more to do though. But there's more to do. There's more to, like, even as an individual, my consciousness should ever be, like you said, every morning, every day, growing, expanding, shifting. And that's what I was going to say before, this idea of as above, so below. If God is ever expanding consciousness, then I, as the microcosm, should be demonstrating ever expanding consciousness.
Absolutely.
So what is the practice that I can practice that helps me do that? One, stay in a state of divine discontent. As a physician is always there to serve and help those with the broken bones, the bloody nose, the whatever, I should be doing the same thing. I don't remember who said it first, but as what we do as people who minister to others, to afflict the comfortable and comfort the afflicted. But if we're not out there, well, then what are we doing? If we're not afflicting those who are comfortable, shaking the waters, and we're not comforting the afflicted, like for real comforting, not just, it's okay, I know your husband was shot by the police and I'm praying for you. Yeah, that's not really comforting the afflicted.
Right.
That's appeasing and offering, you know, whatever is most comfortable for you to offer. Really want to comfort them, then show up at their house, show up at the funeral, show up at the city hall and the town meetings as a representation of science of mind, religious science, new thought, and say, our teaching teaches this about this. And I am here to vote accordingly. That's comforting people.
Right.
Know you are walking the walk.
Right.
That's my perspective.
Yes.
I mean, that's why recently Supreme Court was voting on, another LGBTQ thing, whether it would be okay, whether it would be legal for businesses to discriminate against, gay employees, et cetera. And I'm like, who from our movement's going to be there? I have to show up.
Right.
Talk to anybody or not. I have to put my stole on and I have to show up. And people asked, so like, what church do you, and then I'm explaining. They're like, you're what? Is that Scientology? No, this is what it is. Not from a defensive place,
right.
But this is what it is. And then they're like, oh, so tell me more.
Right.
I like that. Can you come to our church and talk about?
Right.
We don't show up. We're not willing to be there and let the Westboro Baptist Church folks scream at us. If we're not willing to let the Facebook bandits scream at us and troll us, if we're not willing to do that, then we stay a neat little thing that goes around the license plate.
Best kept secret.
Yep. We go back into the metaphysical closet and we hide.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not going to serve anybody.
No, it's not. Yeah, right. I was looking for that quote from, well, I'm going to quote her because she quoted someone else, Dr. Darnice, but it goes to what you were just saying, right? Let me put on my stole, let me show up, because based on my faith, I do this for the world. Based on my faith. So as a practitioner of this philosophy, of this way of life, then let me show up in all aspects of the world. Not just in church on Sundays or on Wednesdays or whenever, but more importantly, when there's stuff going down. Okay, if this is what I really believe, if this is what I really say I believe in and that I practice this way of life, well, then let me get out from my house and show up. Man, please.
Right. Because it calls you to a different level of showing up in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, for real. But let's go back to this thing about faith, though. When you say, if this is what I really believe, how many of us, if we were to seriously have a sit-down conversation, really know what we believe?
Come on now.
Because so let's take Yeshua for a moment. So did he really live, walk the earth, and do miracles, or is he simply a symbolic, metaphysical, metaphorical? Is like, which one is it? Now, neither, either or, right? It could be. But the thing is, for yourself, for myself, do I know? And based on that, how does it inform me how to act?
Right.
So Jesus can be a completely fictional character.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything because Yoda is a completely fictional character. Spider-Man is a completely fictional character. And yet, the metaphysical lessons that they represent are things that I can live in my life.
Right.
I don't care whether you believe Jesus is or isn't or whatever, but get really grounded on, but what does it call me to be based on what I believe?
Right.
If I believe this man really walked the planet and did miracles and said, I have done this and so can you, and even greater, then what are you calling me to do? And if I believe it, he's a fictional character who said it, what does it still inform me to do? Right. Right? It still calls me to a different level of showing up in the world. Right. And I think we're comfortable believing down here and up here.
Yeah. It's like, who cares what the messenger said? Did you get the message?
Yep.
Who cares if the messenger is real or not? Yeshua or Yoda or whoever, Gandhi or Spider-Man, right? Yep. Did you get the message? And then what are you going to do with that? How do I show up and be a part of spreading whatever it is that I'm here to do? Waking folks up.
Yep. And, I ask myself pretty often, especially since Dr. Martin, asked, well, where is the New Thought representation on CNN? Reverend Al Sharpton is here and there and there, and Reverend Barber is here and there and here and there. Where is here and there for New Thought?
Right.
I ask myself very often, if Fox News were to invite you on, one, would you go? Two, are you aligned enough in consciousness, anchored and rooted and grounded in truth, to be able to go on there, knowing the consciousness of what tends to happen, and still be able to maintain that single focus of truth and speak from there, speak truth to power from there,
Right.
in that environment? And if not, then you still have work to do.
Right.
Ultimately, that's what you should be doing. You should be out there shining this light, spreading this truth. And I'm not talking about door to door, knock, knock, knock. Hello, here's the Science of Mind magazine. Would you like it? Like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how we show up.
Right. Right.
How we get on the bus.
Right.
How we buy a carton of milk. I'm talking about how we show up.
24 hours a day, 365 days a week.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. Huge. I love
Martial artists, whether they're in the dojo or not.
Right? You know, yeah, as we talked about, right? When I got my first degree, yeah, and my Steve said, now your work starts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you mean? It took me 10, 12 years to get to this place. What do you mean? You mean now the work begins?
Yeah, that was the prerequisite.
Yeah, right, exactly. Right, right. So now that we're practitioners and ministers, now the work begins. That was just to get us to this point to go, okay, now.
Yep.
No politics. This is not, no, we're not doing this.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Not from a place of, you know, who's right and who's wrong.
Right.
You know, I love this. It's not about who's right or what's wrong. What's right or it's what works and does not work.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there right and wrong in the world? Yeah, okay, fine. But what works or what does not work? Let's speak to them.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yes, I'm. So, and since you mentioned it, like this whole thing about guns, gun control. So what's right or what's wrong? Yeah, it's not about should you have guns or shouldn't you have guns. It's about what is the consciousness that makes you want to have guns.
Right.
And if that was not there, would you still need to have? Meaning, I have guns so I can protect my family. From what? From crime. Well, what if there was no crime?
Right.
If there was no crime, would you still need to? Well, no. So there is where we want to shift consciousness so that we create a world where crime is so infrequent, like Japan.
Right.
Crime there, from all the people that I have ever known who have lived there, both people who are of Japanese descent and people of African descent who moved to Japan, have said, yeah, you don't understand. As a Black man, this is the first time in my, 50 years or whatever, living in Japan, that I felt free.
Mm.
Like, why? The consciousness of Japan as a totality, they don't see color the way it's seen in the United States of America.
Right.
Interesting. So if we shift consciousness here that there is no need for crime, that the government is a system that works and you don't have the need to feel like, well, we must bear arms in case we need to. Well, if that consciousness shifts, then is there still a need to? So it's not about right or wrong. You shouldn't have guns, because it's about let's shift the consciousness around so there's no need to have.
Right. Right. Exactly.
And some people, because you get the criticism, but I love to hunt. Well, check this out. Here's the Star Trek nerd in me. What if we elevate our technological resources to the degree where we have a holodeck the same way they did on Next Generation? Anything, technically. But the threat, the whatever danger, the thrill, it all exists right there. You can hunt whatever you want. Buffalo, Tyrannosaurus Rex, you can hunt it all in the holodeck.
Right.
You don't need to have a gun to kill one of the 5 last white buffaloes that exist in creation.
Mm.
Simply to be able to put it on your wall as a trophy.
Right.
Mm.
Right. Yeah.
So having that conversation, yeah, it's an important thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Man. I want to let everyone know that this is only the first one that Raymont and I will be doing. We'll be back. Because it really is about changing the consciousness. It's about, we talk about it. It took me a while to wrap my heart around the phrase "a world that works for everyone." I'm like, yo, yeah. And it took me a while to really get to where I can go, okay. And now I'm okay with it, because it's about, because I was looking at what are you going to do to make that happen, until it's like, well, no. What am I going to do?
Right.
What's my contribution?
Right.
And that's why we're here, man. Doing this real talk. That's why I'm putting out stuff, man, is I am here to show up, because this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
For years, I'm like, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be heard. It's like, well, dude, it's too late for that. You're seen, you are heard. Now, my affirmation for the last 2 or 3 months is be seen, be heard, be seen, be heard. So I'm showing up. Screw this.
Right.
Why not? Why not? As my brother Masando would say, why not?
Yeah.
Why not change lives? Why not?
Amen.
Coming from but we won't go there.
That's why. So when CSL Greater Baltimore was asking me about being the minister there, and I had to warn them. It's like, it's all good, but I want to let you know up front. I need you to understand what you are asking in this asking. You are asking an African-American man in his 50s, who's also gay, who also comes from a background of trauma and PTSD and abuse, etc., who ... Let's go down the bullet points so you understand that all of this goes into who I am and how I show up and deliver my message.
That's right.
I grew up in a household with a whole bunch of BS. And now that I'm able to spot it and the red flags and this and that, I'm not going to tolerate. I'm not going to, it's this idea of, wait, if I stand in silence, then I'm an accomplice to it.
Right.
So I can no longer be that. So I'm letting you know up front that if you ask me to step in and serve in this manner, this is all that comes with it.
Right. That's right. Just being real. Just being real. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Now you've been there for how long now?
So this coming July will be the completion of 2 full years.
Good.
So
Yeah. We Ray, you and I need to talk about me coming out there and us doing something. Whew.
I'm glad you said that, because I actually started drafting an email like, okay, okay, what exactly am I asking? Do I have dates in mind? I'm glad you put the invite out there, because it was already in the draft folder.
Good. And, yes. then invite surrounding centers, churches, synagogues.
Yes.
Temples.
Yes.
Oh, see? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's time to have sort of what we were talking about before, like this new thought revival idea, where we come together. It's what you said, the forefathers and mothers of new thought, they came together and had discussion.
Right.
They came together and said, sort of their own version of the Council of Nicaea, like, well, what do we believe? What do you believe? Right. What is prayer for you? And what is prayer for us?
Whew.
What does this mean? Because it strengthens who you are.
Yeah, it does.
The artist who paints in oil, when you know what oil does and what it smells like and how to mix it, it strengthens the kind of painter you can become. If you don't get in conversations with other painters and learn other techniques and other ways, I didn't know you could put linseed oil with that. What? And it does what with the color? No. If you don't have those conversations, then you're still painting by numbers, the same old way, same old, same old, same old, same old.
Right.
But then elevating your technical skills to an art form.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Inviting people together to create this like new thought dojo of like, how do we create new thought in 2020?
Right.
Collectively.
Speaking of new thought dojo, it takes me back to a time where I've had classmates who have schools, and every Thursday night after class, after his regular class, black belts would come in from all the different schools, and we would just spar, just have a good time. Because that's the way that we learn. So principle is the same across the board.
Yep.
So be it kicking and punching, or be it, let's talk about how prayer works for you. How's it work in what you do? You know, Oh man. Yeah, good stuff.
Bruce Lee here's the form. This is what are the basics of it? Now let me deconstruct everything else and get to the basics of it.
Right.
And build from there.
Right. I loved learning the fact that the reason why he fought from the left-handed stance, because he got that from fencing. Just put your best hand forward. You know, that makes sense.
Right.
Just take all of that and get rid of whatever else that does not work. Whatever it is. Yeah. I was speaking with a brother of mine. You know, I was Muslim for a long time, many years ago, which is why I attribute my love of prayer to, you know, because that was a 5 times a day thing. And after I left that, this brother and I, who is still Muslim, who I just still absolutely love, he says, you know, at the time I was going by the name of Sadiq. He said, Sadiq, I'm concerned that you're not praying five times a day. I said, you know, Stefan, I pray 1 time a day. From the moment that I get up until I go to sleep, I'm in prayer.
Woo! Yes.
Because life is a prayer.
Yes.
You know, if every thought's a prayer, then every word's a prayer, then everything I do is a prayer. That's why I have quite a few different classes and workshops, but the one that I do most is living the 5 steps of prayer, because this is a way of life.
Amen. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
Whew. Brother, thank you so much for doing this with me. You know,
my pleasure. Thank you for the invite.
Real talk, and I know that we'll be doing it again, and probably again and again. Yeah.
My pleasure.
So is there anything, Raymont, that you want folks to know before we get off? My brother, Seafood Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson.
So anything that I would like to leave folks with?
Yeah.
I guess one of the things that has been coming up for me a lot recently, with all of the things going on with family and personal life, et cetera, is just this reminder that we are far more powerful than we can even imagine. Like, if we imagine that we are as powerful as a 10, it's not even a 20 or a 50 or 100. It's beyond the ability to even count. In the AARP, because I am of that age, in the recent AARP magazine.
How do they find you, right?
They reminded folks that we have more cells in our body than there are stars in the known universe. Like, everything about us is a demonstration of the infinitude of spirit.
Yeah.
And that when I anchor into this idea of the truth of all that I am, it's sort of like going back to the fire of Emma Curtis Hopkins. There is no sin, sickness, or death in the truth of who and what I am. It's not possible for the essence of my being. God cannot be sick. God cannot die. And the truth of my being is that.
Right.
I experience something that is in opposition to that, then what practice do I need to practice to recalculate and focus on the true power of my being?
Right.
Does that mean this will vanish? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not even going to go into that aspect of the conversation. But if I change the way I look at things, then the way I look at, like, it's that thing. Change the way I look at things, and then things change based on how I look at them.
Right.
That's all about me. How can I shift and change and keep in the forefront of my mind the absolute love that I am as spirit showing up, incarnating itself as me.
Mm-hmm.
And what's true for me is true for everyone who watches this, whenever they watch it.
Right.
They're far more powerful, far more creative, far more beautiful and magnificent than you could even imagine.
Yep. Thank you, my brother.
My pleasure. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. And we will be speaking soon.
Oh, for sure.
Do not hang up yet. Much love. I never could do that, so I'll just do this.
Oh, that works too. Sign language, I got you.
Right? Cool, man.